The silence of the Pines Hospice sits like a jagged tooth against the Montana skyline. Here, the air is thin and smells of bleach and ancient dust. Outside, the mountains are white ghosts under a cold, indifferent moon, their peaks slicing through the bruised purple of the winter night. Inside, the quiet is a heavy blanket, muffling the weight of the inevitable. Vesper moves through the corridors like a ghost herself. Her rubber soles click softly against the linoleum, a rhythmic counterpoint to the wheezing hum of oxygen concentrators. The night shift is a cycle of small mercies, adjusting pillows, moistening parched lips, and listening to the whispered prayers that drift from the rooms like smoke. Time behaves differently in the dark hours. The world shrinks to the size of a single room, measured by the steady drip of an IV. As the clock ticks toward the deepest part of the night, the atmosphere thickens. Vesper finds herself watching the digital displays, the red and green numbers pulsing like a slow electronic heartbeat. It starts with Mr. Callahan in room 412. He had been stable at midnight, his breathing a steady, ragged rasp. But as the clock strikes 3:33 a.m., the monitor lets out a long, unwavering tone. The line on the screen goes flat, a horizon of silence. Vesper notes the time with a prickle of unease. It is exactly the same moment the wind begins to howl outside. The pattern is a jagged edge in Vesper's mind. 3 nights later, a woman in room 405 slips away. Again, the digital clock reads 3:33 a.m. Vesper stands in the nurse's station, staring at the logbook. The numbers are written in her own neat hand, repeating like a curse. The mountain air feels colder tonight, pressing against the glass. "You're just tired?" Vesper tells her reflection in the staff bathroom. Her face is pale, the shadows under her eyes as dark as the Montana pines. Grief is a familiar weight. She has carried it since she was a child, since the day her sister never came home from the mountains. She splashes cold water on her skin, trying to wash away the feeling of being watched. Mrs. Adler is the only one still awake in the West Wing. She is a frail woman with eyes that see too much. As Vesper enters to check her vitals, Mrs. Adler's hand shoots out, surprisingly strong. Her fingers wrap around Vesper's wrist like a cold iron band. She doesn't look at the monitors. She looks straight into Vesper's soul. "Can you hear them, dear?" Mrs. Adler whispers, her voice a dry rattle. "The mountains are calling. They're hungry tonight." Vesper tries to pull away, but the grip tightens. "Tell her I'm close," the old woman says, her eyes glazing over. "The trailhead where the fog sleeps. Tell her the coordinates are the same." Mrs. Adler's strength vanishes as quickly as it came. She falls back against the pillows, her chest settling into a final, peaceful stillness. Vesper looks at the clock on the wall. The red numbers hum with a terrifying precision, 3:33 a.m. The silence that follows is not peaceful. It is expectant, as if the room itself is holding its breath. Trembling, Vesper reaches for the chart Mrs. Adler had been clutching. Scrawled on the back of a meal menu are a series of numbers, latitude and longitude. Vesper's heart hammers against her ribs. She knows these numbers. She has seen them on old police reports and search and rescue maps that she kept hidden in a box under her bed for 15 years. Memory floods back, cold and suffocating. A trailhead shrouded in gray mist. A younger girl, Linnea, laughing as she ran ahead into the trees, her yellow coat a bright spark against the dark timber. Then, the silence, the search that lasted weeks. The sister, who became a ghost before she ever became a woman. The coordinates match the exact spot where Linnea's footprints ended. Vesper stands by the window, looking out at the peaks of the Mission Mountains. The mercy hour is over, but the dread remains. The clock on the wall remains frozen in her mind. Something is calling the lost home, and it is using the dying to send a message. She realizes now that the mountains didn't just take Linnea. They were waiting for Vesper to come and find her.